If you ever felt a little angry about enemies surviving your shots, Horo will make your one-shot addiction even worse, because this vehicle wrecks into billions and billions of pieces anything it hits. You can call it point-and-shoot vehicle, just you will have to point a bit higher and shoot less often. It is the only vehicle at battle rating 1.7 to have a 150mm gun. Inside a large caliber gun you can fit a large shells, and large shells can be filled with large amount of explosives, and explosives gives you a serious argument in a debate which team wins the battle. Its high explosive shell has 7 kilograms of TNT and can create explosion big enough to penetrate over 60 millimeters of armor, and you will face some vehicles that cannot penetrate that amount even with armor-piercing projectiles. Needless to say that anything that can be hull broken will be hull broken. But shell on its own won't do anything, so you will have to take care to create right conditions for these explosives to detonate in the right place. First thing is that you must take into account gravity. Shell speed is 290 meters per second. That makes it more difficult to engage distant opponents. And try to avoid these parts of the map where you and your opponents can be separated by trees, walls or other objects that will make your shell to detonate while your opponents can shoot through them. You can also choose to shoot armor-piercing high explosive shells that will go through obstacles, but it has a very small penetration of 37mm and almost 3 times less explosives. And since you play Horo because you like to one-shot, and APHE cannot provide you this, it's easier to avoid places where your shot can explode too early than sacrifice lethality. If you missed your shot, you better have some good cover you can hide for a while, because time is money and the price of a missed shot is 20 seconds. And before you will be able to reload, enemies can safely approach you and explain you why your arguments don't convince them. And that won't be very difficult for them because your crew members are unprotected from behind, being easy target for machine gun fire for both ground and air vehicles. Frontal protection is also weak. Maximum of 25mm can only protect from machine guns, but any armor-piercing projectile will go through. Even worse is that it's enough to create spalling or activate APHE fuses, making them even more deadly to your crew. And Gun's Breach, which usually absorbs some fragments, leaving a chance for someone in crew compartment to survive, is very short, so once a shell hits you frontally, most likely you are the one who will be one-shotted. Unprotected back works the other way around in your favor. Shells coming from behind are less deadly because there is nothing to hit to create fragments until they pass the crew compartment. But on the other hand, your shells are stored on a box on tank's back, and it would be very unpleasant if they detonate. So the best defense is a good offense set of mind should be keeping you alive until you miss a shot. After missing a shot, if you cannot resist shells relying on armor or when there is no cover, you can only run. Horo cannot compete with light tanks, but the speed is not very bad, so if enemy has a slow vehicle, with a little bit of luck you have a chance to run away, or at least win some time until friendlies will take care of your attacker. That is possible thanks to ability to make turns relatively fast, which allows you to hide between buildings faster. Or, with a little bit more luck, you can keep running until your reload completes and you can shoot him back. Just aiming the gun at opponent can be tricky, because Horo has extremely narrow angle where gun can operate. It's only 10 degrees wide. So if at longer ranges there will be problems choosing correct gun's elevation, at close range you are controlling the gun by turning a whole vehicle. And of course, if your engine is damaged, the fight for you is most likely over. Even machine gun on top has limited angles and only targets in front of you can be hit. Knowing all these characteristics, this tank destroyer feels best supporting your teammates from cover. Since artillery strikes are too dangerous for you to capture points, and your armor is too weak to trade shots, and at the same time you must keep some distance from enemies, because there will be plenty of volunteers rushing your position as soon as you made a shot, hoping to get an easy kill while you are reloading, And because you will keep some distance, getting used to ballistics is critical. There is no better place to learn ballistics than in arcade game mode, when the cross always shows you where the shell will land. The gameplay is pretty much the same as realistic. Peek out, shoot, and hide back for 20 seconds reload. And because you can precisely shoot at bigger ranges, hitting moving targets will become a bigger issue, since the time it takes for the shell to reach destination will show up in all its glory. The fact that aircraft will know what vehicle you are playing and where you are doesn't work in your favor, but since you can be hit by machine guns only from behind and flying time is limited, they are more likely to look for easier targets. The bigger problem is that you cannot hide in a plain sight, which was saving me plenty of times in realistic, because square-shaped tank that is standing still, not moving a turret and reloading doesn't attract a lot of attention. It's a perfect camping vehicle that comes out, one-shots opponent and hides again. Since for the duration of reload it's quite useless, that might be quite boring, but the satisfaction of shell hitting a target worth waiting 20 seconds. Plus maps are not big, so most often you will shoot no further than 400 meters. And even if you miss a target, sometimes the explosion will get light armored vehicles anyway.